Hey there guys, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews. We're going to talk about the PS1 Classic today. Yay! I know a lot of people were asking about this ever since I stated that I canceled my pre-order for the PlayStation 1 Classic, which, well, at one point I was very excited for, and a lot of you probably remember that. There are a lot of problems with the PS1 Classic, which we're going to kind of just walk you step by step through how this played out for me. So, I get it. There are a lot of games that should have been on there that aren't. There are a lot of blaring emissions from this particular little retro system here. But they put on Metal Gear Solid, so I was pretty much set. You had Metal Gear Solid, you had Final Fantasy VII. Not that I need another way to play Final Fantasy VII. I have it on Steam, I have it on PS4 Pro. You can get Final Fantasy VII anywhere, pretty much at any time. It's not a game that anyone has ever been like, we're not going to offer this because Square Enix needs money, and people will still pay that for Final Fantasy VII. And then it had Grand Theft Auto, the original, on there, which I was kind of excited to revisit. I played it as a kid. So the lineup was weak, for being honest. And here's the other problem. A lot of these games play better with the analog sticks. You also didn't support analog sticks. So that kind of becomes a bit of a hindrance. So not only was it weak in the game lineup, weak in the actual hardware you gave to support it, not that you, I guess, couldn't hack it and put in an extra one, but I don't really want to hack these. If we're going to that point, I'll just run it on my Raspberry Pi. I like these for, well, collectability and collector's purposes. But when you compare this to the SNES and the NES Classic, where they gave you CRT monitoring, so you make it look like you're on a CRT TV, you can change the borders, you can stretch the screen, they gave you music and descriptions and box art and all this pretty stuff going on the home screen, and well, Sony gave you none of that. Sony literally half-assed this entire thing because they wanted to make some quick money in turn for the holiday season. And yeah, it was a cash grab. That is literally what this was. Sony literally spent all the goodwill they can. They literally just bastardized their fans. And you might say, well, how did they bastardize them? How many times have you heard people say, man, I wish there was backwards compatibility on the PlayStation? Well, Xbox even made fun of Sony when they announced the PS1 Classic by stating, if you want to play Xbox original games, just put your Xbox original disc in the Xbox One. Because, yeah, it works that simply on the games they've added to backwards compatibility, and they're constantly adding more. Actually, I think they have more than 20 games currently backwards compatible for the original Xbox on the Xbox One. Sony hasn't given you that. Your other option was you can rebuy the ones that the companies have made backwards compatible. So like your Final Fantasy VII, you can rebuy that to play on your PS4. Or you can pay for PS Now, which runs like trash because it's all online streaming, but Xbox adds them all to Game Pass for $10. I'm just saying, there's really like a lot of bad looks in this for Sony. And don't get me wrong, I play a lot on my PlayStation. I'm pointing this out to you that none of this shows any kind of consumer fanfare. There's no reason a consumer should be like, man, Sony really did such an awesome job on this. No, this is literally like Bethesda's Fallout 76, but for Sony. That's what this is. And you might go, well, they're not doing that bad. They clearly can't be selling that poorly. Well, I went into Best Buy the other day and I tweeted this picture out. There is a stack of them in Best Buy, pretty much up to my chin. It looks like no one's touched them. And I get it, maybe they just got a lot of them in, Sony produced a lot of them. There was never a point in time I saw an SNES or NES Classic in that amount in any store for any reason, because they all sold very quickly. You know what else is a pretty bad sign? The fact that a lot of retailers are already discounting them. Like Target has them for $75 right now. You have to add that to your cart before it'll show you the price. But yeah, on Target's website, you can get them for $75. Other retailers also have them on sale. You know what else is a thing that I've noticed about the SNES and NES Classic? They never went on sale because they never struggled to get people to buy them at their regular price. Now granted, they were also already cheaper than the PlayStation Classic, and that's fine, I get it. The PlayStation Classic has superior hardware. Yet, for some reason, some YouTuber was able to hack the SNES Classic, have it play the same game as the PS1 Classic, running natively, that Ridge Racer game, and yeah, the PlayStation Classic ran it worse than the SNES Classic. Keep in mind, PlayStation Classic has a more powerful processor and a gig of RAM. The SNES Classic has a less powerful processor and like 256 megabytes of RAM. Shouldn't be possible. But somehow, some way, Sony's able to mess all this up. Sony's able to take one of their most classic and iconic consoles and literally drive a dagger straight through its heart. And for some reason, they thought it was a great move to give you the PAL games of some of these games, so they run actually in an inferior manner. And I understand, I get it, I know why you put PAL versions on there. They are probably capable of supporting more languages, just because, you know, PAL covered more area than what the NTSC versions did. However, you should have made them region specific. You did region locking for a reason, unless you're telling me that that was all a lie for some odd reason. I just always felt nationalizing or localizing certain games made a lot of sense. Like, there's a lot of differences between the Japanese version of Animal Crossing and the US version of Animal Crossing, and a lot of that has to do with what's culturally acceptable and stuff along those lines. But, so here's the funny thing. I kind of expected Sony to at least put out a better quality product than like an AtGames product. Especially because, you know, this is a product coming directly from the manufacturer that made the device. Like, Sony made the PlayStation 1, so obviously they should know how to recreate it. But instead they decided to use a third-party emulator, one that they've blatantly stated before that they didn't like, and they don't appreciate the emulation, and yada yada yada. But now they're licensing that product rather than making their own, and can't add any flair to this device, and essentially making their own AtGames console. They literally somehow managed to be at AtGames level, but AtGames actually runs better. What? Like, I make fun of AtGames for how bad their product is, and here's Sony going, we can out shitty AtGames. And shitty is what AtGames is known for. Thanks, Sony. Thanks. Really, really great look on your behalf. Shows you really take into account what the fans want. But here's how this is probably going to play out. Sony's probably going to tell you that, well, these retro consoles is just like backwards compatibility. People don't actually really use it. They just say they want it. Because that's how Sony addressed backwards compatibility. People don't actually use it. Keep in mind, Xbox released the backwards compatibility statistics of like people playing on the Xbox One after Sony said that to prove them wrong, and they were wrong. They never acknowledged that part though, by the way, and I do like when Xbox does that because it's funny. Look, man, it's about keeping people honest. You want competition? Here's your competition. Your competition's calling you out for lying. But it's also very indicative of just how Sony's strategy is. Like when Sony said that the PlayStation Vita failed because people don't want handhelds. Well, the 3DS is selling really well. So are you just trying to say that people don't want your handheld that was overpriced, had very few first-party exclusive games? I mean, you did make some, and those were pretty well received. But then you also overcharged for the memory because you had to have proprietary memory. You stopped marketing the device, and then you just tried to turn it into a glorified peripheral for the PS4. Yeah, I really wonder how you guys lost your market share on that. This is the same thing that worries me about what may eventually happen to PSVR, because the PS Move had the same incident happen. Literally, they allowed it to die. They didn't support it. They didn't make first-party content for it. They just made it and let it die. That's what happened with the Move. You guys probably don't remember the Move came out during the PS3. It is what the motion controllers are for, well, the PSVR, which is another thing that made me worried about PSVR. I'm just saying, this is a very bad look for Sony. This is literally like their way of showing, hey, we might have made fun of Xbox at E3 because we got one move up on them. But here we are, proving we have no idea what the hell the market wants or what our fans want. And I really want the PS1 Classic to do well. If it would have ran Metal Gear Solid decently, like if Metal Gear Solid just would have worked well, I would have bought it. I would have bought it for Metal Gear Solid alone. It's one of my favorite game series of all time. I mean, or, you know, Konami could just give me a full Metal Gear Solid series. I get it, I'm boycotting Konami. For those of you who don't know, I've been boycotting them since the whole Hideo Kojima shit went down. But I would buy another Metal Gear Solid collection if it had all of the games. All of the games. The Xbox One didn't have the original Metal Gear. And I want to be able to play all of the games. Actually, I'd love to be able to stream all of the games. Because, you know, it's one of my favorite game series, and it's literally one of the hardest ones to follow. So a lot of people probably have no idea literally how that all works. But we don't need to get off topic on this. Don't get me started on Metal Gear. It's one of those things. But with that being said, I think this is a really bad look for Sony, especially when you have the new console generation right around the corner. We're gonna make some bold predictions here very soon about the next console generation. And we all know I like to make bold predictions and talk out my ass and make claims that may never happen. Sometimes they're right though. They're educated guesses. It's just how I think it's gonna work out. But yeah, sometimes I'm terribly right, sometimes I'm terribly wrong. So, guys, I'd love to hear your guys' feedback down in the comments down below. Do you feel that this is literally Sony making a mockery out of their fans for pretty much saying they wanted backwards compatibility, and then this is the shit way that Sony gives it to you? But it won't be Sony's fault. It'll be that just people didn't want it. People don't want this. This isn't what they wanted. You're right, it isn't what they wanted. Not how you made it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. Also, if you want to follow me anywhere else, the links are as always in the description box down below, including my PSN, Xbox ID, Patreon. Anywhere I am in that description box. Crazy, right? Also, if you like the content here on this channel, you can click that subscribe button, ding the little bell. Even if you don't like the content here on this channel and you're just here to make fun of me, don't forget to ding the little bell, or it's not going to let you know I uploaded for you to make fun of my ass. So, guys, I'll see you all around. I'll have plenty more content coming for you, and see you soon.